Alright guys, welcome to a special edition of the Kissing Annie podcast.
Special edition.
Special edition, bruh.
What makes it special?
I don't know, sometimes I say special, sometimes I say...
Yeah.
I haven't gotten a rhythm yet. And then I don't know why I keep saying alright guys.
Alright guys, no, I don't. A lot of people have been asking me about my skincare routine.
Alright.
So, alright guys, let's talk about it.
Your skincare routine?
Yeah.
But do you have a routine for real?
No, I don't. Well, no, I went to a dermatologist and they said, what's your skincare routine? I was like, well, I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't have any.
Like, I splash water in my face with my hands. And they're like, oh, you should do some things. I was like what? And so it was cool. They actually pulled up on the internet and showed me, like, you should buy that product. And I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, there's always something to buy with those routines.
They weren't even selling it themselves. They were just recommending that I go to Quick Mart and pick this up.
Oh, they had specific recommendations.
Totally specific.
What did they recommend?
CeraVe, CERE.
What the heck is that?
And it's some sort of like daily cleanser.
Oh, so you use it daily?
I do.
I'm sure it's 850 bob, right? It's 900.
2,400 bob. It's ridiculous. Yeah.
Do you moisturize?
No.
Oh, you don't?
No.
You're one of those dry, fry guys.
Someone asked me the other day, it's like, how do you know when you have dry skin? And I was like, I don't.
But then how do you know? Because at least me, I look pale.
I get itchy.
Oh, you get itchy.
Yeah, I'm itchy. I'm a really itchy guy, especially in the evenings. I'm always like,
especially when you shave, man.
Dude, this is painful. I've had so many people say they like the beard that this is not for me. I hate it.
Oh yeah, you've recently grown a beard.
It's itchy.
Where did the beard go? I left you without beards. What happened? You went to America and did you not carry your razor?
So what I do is I shave when it's convenient. So it takes like 6 days, and then it looks like I'm trying to grow a beard. And then I'm like, it's irritating, and I just get rid of it. But on that 5th day, a bunch of people complimented me.
All right.
And so I was like, oh, you like it? And they're like, yeah, we like it. And then I was like, I guess I'm
Was it a bunch of female people?
Of course it was. It's so stupid. Like, I don't like this at all. And I'm only doing it because, like, women tell me they like it.
I like your beard.
And I really, am I insecure?
So you're doing peer pressure is making you grow a beard.
It's really insecure, I think, because I hate it. I really dislike it. Do you know it's like when you go to sleep and like on the pillow, like the hairs poke back into the face. That's a terrible feeling.
My beard is weird. It didn't join up.
Mine doesn't either. See, I have this here. Like apparently Native Americans don't get a lot of facial hair, and I have a certain percentage of like First Peoples in my bloodline. Right. So I have gaps as well. It's real patchy. So it's only going to look worse.
Oh no, but it looks better than mine. Mine has some weird gaps.
Right now it looks better, but no, I get it. I got gaps. Would you ever grow it out?
I've tried to. But it was just growing here and here at the bottom. The side just looked. And then my hair is, they call it ndengu. You know ndengu?
No. Well, it's a bean, isn't it?
Green peas.
Yeah, green peas. It's like
yeah. So my hair is ndengu. Oh. It's not very soft and smooth and curly. Okay. So it's just, it just makes those balls. So I have that here. It's like a guy called Anyangyo. You know Anyangyo?
I don't know him personally, no.
But you've heard of him, right? Yeah, so his beard is also... Go check out his beard.
It's good or bad? Is it bad?
No, it's that ndengu beard. It's ndengu,
Okay, here's the thing I don't understand. Maybe you can explain it. I may sound naive, but why did dudes here, like, if they only have, like, 4 hairs... Yeah. They like let them grow.
Yeah, it's weird, right? Even chicks.
Okay,
you can find a chick with like 4 hairs.
That's a different conversation, and I'll have that. But right now,
focus on the dudes.
Why do they do that?
I don't know, man. Maybe they're proud of those 4 strands of hair that are growing. My brother is like that. My brother has like 4 strands on this side and now 4 on this side. But so he just lets them grow out like this. Okay,
but I told you that I have a beard. And I don't like it, and you immediately guessed why. Because it's peer pressure. Someone's complimenting. Yeah. No one's complimenting these guys.
You think so? Maybe there's a little person somewhere who's a
little person.
Okay, I don't know why I said a little.
So it can't be.
Maybe there's a human being somewhere who just gets turned on by middle.
There's someone for everyone, but that's
so she's just like this.
It's not a thing.
I love them. I love them.
Do you think much. Do you think someone just like jokingly complimented these guys?
No, but maybe they just let them grow. Like it's too much work to shave like 4 strands of hair. So.
But when you have 4 strands of hair, you don't have to shave them. You can literally just pull them out.
Yeah, true. Huh?
It's so easy.
But how come they don't multiply? Like nowadays, I have this white hair.
Right. It multiplies.
Can you see them?
Yeah. I see. Well, it's very few. I've got quite a few now.
So I have. There weren't so many. But there's a day I went to the barber shop. Then I said, just clear everything out.
Yeah.
So now they've multiplied and they're like...
I think it's coincidence. But I have like one of those crazy stray ones like right here.
Oh, a white one?
No, it just...
Oh, just
it didn't come out. But I plucked
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, you see it?
Yeah.
I got one on my arm too. I got one like right there. And they're like old friends.
How long has it been there?
Ever. Since
you're
12.
Born. Huh?
Yeah.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, it's like a buddy that I was like, hey man, it's time to go. He's like, I know. And I pull him out. But the other day, one of my buddies, that one hair, he turned gray.
Oh,
I was like, dude, you got old.
You hadn't seen him in a while.
Well, I plucked him. You know, I always pluck him. Once I notice him, like, oh, he can't hang here. But he'll be back. This time he came back and he was gray.
He was back and gray.
Back and gray. Yeah.
So I'm hanging out with Darren Collins, just in case, we didn't even introduce who the heck you are. Man.
I'm Darren Collins.
Yeah, man. Darren is I used to have another white friend. Then he left. He retired. He was tired. He used to work for the UN.
Oh.
Then he, took a plane with a one-way ticket. He's the UN contract right now, man.
I see.
He used to tell me how he enjoys life, with that UN stuff.
I'll bet they do. Those guys are on another level.
Living in Kitusuru, man. Damn. Huh?
Yeah, I live in Rungai because I'm a performing artist. I'm not a UN guy.
Pay Kenyan comedians. Even the white ones.
Even the white ones, dude.
How long have you been in Nairobi, though? 20 years?
No, 8.
No, 8.
Yeah, but it's weird because I never meet white guys that are like me. I've never met a white guy who comes from I don't know. I just started talking about it on stage, but neither of my parents finished secondary school. Oh. And I mentioned that at the club on Wednesday, and 2 people in the audience go, "What? You didn't think that it's possible for white guys to also?"
Why didn't they finish? School fees. They just
wasn't for them, man.
Oh, they just quit.
Yeah, they got because they're poor. So my mom didn't have water in the house, and my dad was raised by a traveling minister who just was given a parish, what's it called? Not a parish, but the minister's house, the side house.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't matter what it's called. And so they never had a home either. And so neither of my mom or my dad came from a family that owned property of any kind. There's no history of ownership at all in my family. And
do you feel pressure to change that?
No,
you don't.
There's no pressure.
You don't want to be those ones. I'm gonna change the destiny and the name of my family. Say amen.
Right. So I don't have that. I don't have that. And there's no pressure from the outside because their expectations were really low. So anything I have is just because I figured it out. But what I did was when I left home, I just found mentors. I just found dudes that I admired, guys who either had strong marriages or great businesses or had a lot of education, and I just latched onto them.
So you're saying you never got that at home?
No, not at all. It's my parents had no instruction.
Oh, you guys were just growing
They loved us unconditionally. It was solid, but there was no life.
Oh, life coaching, Darren, I want you to.
Yeah, Dad worked on an assembly line, and so when I tell guys this here in Kenya, they can't fathom it because every white guy is a UN guy, an embassy guy,
majority, right?
or investors or something like that. So I told
expatriate.
Yeah, I told someone, I was like, oh yeah, my dad used to work in a gold mine, and they're like, he owned a gold mine. I'm like, no, he had. A Jenga. Yeah, exactly. And was digging the ditches that the water runs through. Yeah. That was it. There's no gold for him.
What year was your dad born?
My dad was born in 36.
Oh, all right.
My parents met in Deadwood.
Okay, where is Deadwood?
Have you seen the TV show Deadwood? It's the old West town.
Oh, okay. Oh, so it was that West. Oh,
yeah.
The Wild Wild West?
Yeah.
It was the Wild Wild West.
It wasn't at that time.
But it looked like that setup.
Oh, yeah, even now.
Wooden houses.
Yeah.
Did they carry guns?
And yeah, they still, come on.
They still carry guns.
It's America. Everyone carries a gun.
No, the guys just at the shopping centers.
Yeah, so no, my dad always had a gun.
He had a gun?
Yeah.
Damn.
I was just in Texas 2 weeks ago, and one of my buddies is he's a clothing manufacturer for Santa Claus. So all the Santa Clauses in the world, like he makes the premium clothes.
All right.
And I went to his shop, and it was like amazing. He had like fabrics from ecumenical supply from like the Ukraine, like all these really amazing like high end whatever.
Are they red?
A lot of them, yeah. Red and green and gold and silver. Sure, it's the Christmas color.
Yeah.
So I looked around, and I'm in Texas, and I go, hey, by the way, how many guns you got in here? And he goes, I got 2. What? No, 3.
So it's normal to have. Yeah. But did your dad ever use the gun though?
No. Dad mostly just used it for target practice, and then shooting like gophers or like prairie dogs off on the prairie. That was target practice and stuff for Dad. Yeah.
That's in Texas, right?
So no, Dad and Mom were from South Dakota, and I grew up in Washington State, and then I moved to Texas later. But Texas now definitely has more guns.
Yeah, Texas has even I know that.
Yeah, everyone knows.
I think the world knows. Have you ever seen that joke about? There's this lady who's saying that I'm not American, so she's like this. So she says I'm not American, and you can tell because I don't have a gun in my palm. Have you seen that joke? I'm gonna send it to you. It kills it, but Americans hate the joke. Huh?
Well, it's a weird stereotype because like obviously not everyone has one.
But I've massacred how she did the joke. She did it way better than I've done it. But you're saying?
I feel like repeating someone else's joke is impossible to do justice. But so my folks just raised us with love and then hard work ethic, and that's it. But no advice on like finance or anything. Like when my dad died last year, he still didn't own anything. The bank owned everything.
All right.
Yeah.
The bank. Yeah. Like he depended a lot on loans and stuff.
Yeah, so it's a real typical in the American dream is to like get enough money to make a down payment and then get a loan from the bank and pay the bank for your house. And the American dream is to pay it off.
Yeah.
That never happened in my family.
So what happens if say your dad, not with your dad for example, he hasn't paid off the loan? What happens?
So it was in Mom and Dad's name, so Mom is still paying.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but they have special deals for senior citizens where they can do like a reverse mortgage where they sort of pay with the knowledge that when they pass, the bank does get to take the house, but in the meantime, they pay less. And then they do have deals and stuff for seniors who want a fixed income, don't have to pay as much money. So she's okay for now.
So what made you decide to leave, man? But you grew up as a, used to you juggle,
yeah.
knives.
So my parents were just like super supportive no matter what. And I was the last born. And at that point, they didn't have any needs for me to do anything special. So I just got into comedy, and Dad was a big fan of comedy. So he's like, yeah, you could do that.
Yeah.
Whatever you want. He had no care because he ain't sending me to college. He could never afford that.
So you didn't go to college?
No. No.
So you left school straight into performing arts?
Turns out that I applied for a job. And when I was 19, I got it, and it was in Texas, and it was teaching puppetry and performing. And I just got it, and it sent me to 140 cities that first year. So I was like 19 years old, and I saw.
What year was that?
That was 97.
So you just started traveling outside like
immediately.
You must have been excited to get out of the home area. Right?
One thing what's cool about my parents is they weren't small-minded. The idea of the world was accessible. Yeah. So my mom actually, it's cool. The only advice she ever gave me was about travel. She said, Darren, when I was a little girl, I never believed I would see the ocean. I didn't know that was a possibility. But now I live next to the ocean. I met your dad, and he got a good job, and he worked hard, and so we were able to move, and now I live next to the ocean. But the idea of travel, Darren, if you ever get a chance to travel, you just take it. Just say yes. I was like, okay, Mom, and then I did. Every chance that came up, I never thought of why to say. A lot of guys will make excuses. I can't. I'm busy. I got these things. And the thing she said is the yes. Say yes. So the first answer is yes, and then I'll figure out how to make it happen.
And look at where you got you, man.
I'm living in Rungai.
And you're here. You're in South Beach.
I'm in South Beach. No, but it's a trip. I love it. Yeah, I love it.
You don't get homesick when you leave home? I can't last out of the country, man.
Yeah, no, I don't. I don't get homesick at all. Because, dude, I traveled I mean, that first year when I told you I went to 130 or 140 cities, I never stopped doing that.
There are people in the States. There's this lady I used to date, right? So she went to a city called Nebraska.
Well, that's a state.
Yeah. So
my brother lives there. In Omaha.
I've been there. So she was telling me she's never been to New York City.
Yeah.
I'm like, why? Like, why wouldn't you travel?
It's nuts. Most Americans don't even leave their hometowns. And that's, my nephew just graduated last week. He lives in Nebraska. And he graduated from high school. And the advice I gave him was, for your graduation gift, go get your passport and I'll reimburse you the money.
Right.
Because you don't realize this now, but that might be the first or second most valuable document in the world. People will die to get that kind of document. And I'm serious. But you can just go to the post office and have it.
Yeah.
Don't think that's small. Just because it's so easy for you, do not diminish the value of that document.
Yeah.
And you keep it, and you keep it up to date. And every time you get a visa stamped in that passport, it'll give you $100.
For real.
And which is not much, but
he
hasn't responded yet. But I hope he does it. I hope he does, because it's so rare. You know, I'll bet 99% of his classmates never even get that.
Even here, many people don't get their passports, right? Like, see, my wife. My wife works at the airport. So she works for an airline.
Wow.
So she has this not free. Okay, so it's almost free. You know, like
discounts.
Traveling to Mombasa is 1,000 bob.
Nice.
You know, traveling to South Africa is like 16,000 shillings.
Oh, that's awesome.
But she's never traveled, man.
Oh, yeah. You should divorce her. That's weird. That's weird.
But I've traveled using those things.
It's weird when you have access and you don't take advantage of it. Because there's something in your mind that doesn't realize, like, that's
but why?
So special.
What's wrong with the human condition? You know, like, it's as if you're not seeing what you have, and I think it happens everywhere. You know,
there's definitely people who like have traveled and they go, "Oh, that's not for me." Like I met a guy who did 130 cities along with me, and he was like, "I don't like this. I don't like it."
No, but I'm sure he went back home with something from the travel.
It's not that he regretted it. He just said, "I'm no longer interested." That didn't happen to me. I just kept moving and moving and moving and moving. So the homesick thing, no, because I've just got really into travel, so it was never a problem. But for the people who don't do it, like, I don't know, what's wrong with you?
Yeah, what's happening?
Who's listening to this and not traveling?
What's the dilly, yo?
Like, some of it's fear. Like, I've met some dudes, like, I met a Korean guy, Korean comedian. He was super funny, named Sam Kim. He worked in Dallas. And I got him to travel with me just for like a weekend once. And we went into like these cool forests and stuff. And he was profoundly uncomfortable. I was like, "What's going on, Sam?" He's like, I grew up in the city.
Oh,
I'm really uncomfortable with nature.
You guys had a tent?
It wasn't, no, we had hotels, but we were driving through the forest.
Oh, you're just driving?
And walking around, and like we'd get out and walk around, and he's just like,
that's weird, man.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
So there's that. I get that. So some of it's familiarity, like fear, like the fear of the unknown. Like for me, walking around in the bush here by Nairobi National Park, like I live like right on the park.
Yeah.
I have zero fear. Like I'll walk right through the, even just be wearing boxers or something. Like I'm putting out laundry to dry. I'll just walk through the bushes and through the trees, wearing almost nothing, and there's no fear at all because there's something about it that feels familiar. But in Texas, I do not do that.
Why? Because of Beth?
No, it's like the insects and the snakes and the stuff. Like it's gonna hurt. It's gonna physically hurt. But then where I was born and raised in that forest, I'm good to go. So like different climates I think we're just not familiar with them.
But also that going to the bush, it's a white thing also, right?
I don't.
You have the stereotype, right?
I hear the stereotype all the time.
The nice.
Is that a water heater next door? Yeah. Quiet down. No,
you had a stereotype about white people and going to the woods.
I have a weird theory because everyone keeps saying, "Oh, it's a white thing." It's like I think there's plenty of black people that like nature. But
so. How come I've not seen them on Nat Geo?
Paula Kahumbu is on. She just did a documentary about elephants.
She's super light, man. Come on, man.
Come on. Huh? But the point is that it's not about being okay. So I have a theory. I think it's colonization. Because the European white people are pretty against nature. Like they control it, and it's all like zoos, and like there's no like great outdoors. And so the ancient Europeans, this is just a weird,
like
it's a weird theory. Okay. These guys were all about like controlling and combating, and like it's man versus nature. Whereas in North America, the Native Americans there, their culture was like to
live with.
It was with.
Yeah.
All their symbolism was like animals were like close, were like family. It was like their animal imagery was huge, and it was not adversarial. And I think the Americans that were weird enough to leave Europe and to come and live amongst the Native Americans and be part of the Wild Wild West, etc., they sort of embraced it differently than the other white people did.
No, but I find that story very intriguing. Huh? Like the conquering of the way they, what are they called? The first guys. There's a name for them, right?
Pilgrims?
Yeah, the pilgrims. Is it really pilgrims? There's another one.
There's another word.
Yeah.
Well, colonists. They're still colonists.
So those guys, the way they landed and then they started conquering, like pushing in slowly by slowly. Okay, no, they wiped out the. Okay, they didn't wipe out. They colonized, as you're saying, and they did a lot of crazy things. Yeah. But the idea of a human being just going to conquer a new land, I find that history quite interesting, man.
I like the idea of exploring new land. I don't like the idea of conquering it.
But conquering is a human thing, man. Like humans have been trying to conquer each other for
but I don't think that's the good part.
You remember those days when, like the Napoleon days?
I wasn't there.
No, but yeah,
I don't remember it. I'm also not.
Have you read about it?
No.
So those
I didn't really read.
Like you have an emperor who like, you know, he's ruling. He's in Persia somewhere, and his kingdom, you know, goes all the way to Africa, and the Mediterranean, and all this stuff. Yeah. Like it's a human thing, the conquests.
Yeah, but I don't think it's the bright side of human things.
Yeah, it's not. It's not. It has its terrible, you know.
But I love the idea of exploring and learning and finding. That's why, you know, it's one thing my dad and I did together is knife throwing. So dad had hurt his elbow, and I have a point to this. And so he couldn't do a sport that he loved to do, but he couldn't do any underhand sport, but overhand he could do. So I was like, hey, I know he likes weird stuff, so I bought him a book and a knife and a video about like how to do knife throwing, and he got really good. So he started going to tournaments, and I was like, Dad, you're really good at this. Will you show me like what you learned, and we can go to tournaments together.
Oh, he got to that level of tournament.
Yeah. And so one of the ways they do the tournaments is reenactments of like the 1840s, 1850s, 1860s, maybe even 1880s, the Wild Wild West. Because during that time of conquering America, there was another kind of person that were called trappers. And so trappers were guys that would go into the wilderness, and they weren't trying to take over people or even take over land. Their income was just trapping animals and going to the town and selling it and bartering. So this class of people, they get together, they had their own like Olympics, which is like tomahawk throwing and knife throwing and trapping and just the cool skills they had to do in order to get these animals. But again, they're not trying to take land. They're not trying to take over people. They're not trying to educate anyone. They're just guys who live in the land. But what made them super special is that they traveled. They traveled with the seasons. And so they traded with the native First Peoples, and they traded in town. And they were always on the go. And so they were like the poets, the nomads, the people who spoke tons of languages because they had to interact with all these people. And their only agenda was, got to make a living. And so those were kind of, even though they're like down, dirty, like bloody, like, you know, knives and stuff, rough, they're also multilingual and well-traveled and interesting and had great stories. And so that's sort of the kind of lifestyle I admire. And that's sort of what we started to reenact there for a while with me and Dad with throwing the knives and stuff, as just like games of skill that aren't designed, have no history with hurting people. And I like that kind of exploration, not conquering, just exploring.
Reminds me of the Chinese, though.
Oh, yeah? Yeah. I don't know anything about Chinese.
No, they just, you know, build roads and stuff.
That's all they did.
They don't have any conditions.
Yeah.
Say, I want a road. All right, I'm coming to build your road, man.
For money.
Yeah. So, like, what was your favorite among? How long were you staying in the States when you were doing the 100 and you said how many states? How many towns?
I went to 49 states like 7 times over. I've been to well over 500 U.S. towns.
So what were you doing? What were you doing?
Juggling.
You just.
Well, at first it was puppetry. I was teaching puppetry. And that's what I do now in Kenya is I teach puppetry and everything. But then it's hard to make money with an ensemble.
Like
it's uber easy.
It's the fridge. have this old fridge. So just
that's a lot.
That's a lot. It's heating up.
I don't know what's going on. That's a lot of noise.
I think it didn't have a muffler. All right, it's gone. So
what was the question?
I was asking you what you're telling me you used to do puppetry.
Yeah.
When you're traveling.
Okay, yeah. So, but as an ensemble, it's like being in a band. You split the money like 5 ways. That's no way to live.
So were you in a band?
No, I'm saying, but as a puppetry group, a theater group, you split the money.
Yeah.
So it's not a good way to make a living. Yeah. So working solo is better, and so I love juggling and magic and stuff too, and I could work alone, and so I could make a lot more money. So I did that, and I was based out of Dallas, and I would fly to different cities on the weekends, and I would also drive a lot, and so I ended up driving like over 3 million kilometers personally.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
How did you go? Are you booking the gigs?
I got an agent. Oh. Yeah, I got a guy that I really trusted, and he was a really great dude.
So how many people would you find at a typical show?
Typical show was at the least 300. The average was 500, and then but by the time I quit, I was doing about 1,500 per gig. 15, just me for like an hour.
Go away, Jeff Dunham.
Yeah, I mean, but it was all private. It wasn't like I didn't have fans. It wasn't ticketed. It was all corporate work.
Oh, it was corporate.
Yeah, churches.
No, mostly. But it's still churches. So they already have.
They already have the pews. They have the congregation. Well, and my particular thing was I was on a circuit, and it was a graduation ceremony circuit where they had intramural church sports, and when they would get at the end of the league, the end of the season, everyone gets together and celebrates, and then they hire a special speaker, and I was that guy.
So were you making money, man?
Yeah, I was working like 80 days a year and making more than anyone in the history of my family.
What are you doing with your loot?
Saving. I was really frugal because again, we have no history of anything in my family, so it's like I'm alone. I can't ask Dad for money. I'm alone, and so I just like I said, I talked to men who I admired who gave me advice. They taught me about interest rates and amortization tables and about early payoff. And so I actually own a house. I was the first one, and I bought it when I was 21.
Oh, in America.
Yeah.
Where? In Deadwood?
No, down in Dallas.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So who was this guy? Who was this mentor who gave you all this?
I had several, but a church.
Did you seek them out?
Yeah. Oh. I mean, what else could I do?
You're a bright kid,
I feel like
man.
I'm alone, Yeah, because I wasn't book smart. Like I barely finished high school, for sure. Yeah. But I'm super curious. Like I read a lot. I mean, not a lot, but enough. And then I just pursued things.
How come you're so conscious about how alone you are?
Because I was. I immediately moved away from home, and I had no money. I had $15 when I moved, but I had a job. So I was like, okay, this has to work.
So you're in it like 100%.
Yeah.
Ish, that's.
But I was always surrounded by people who loved me. Like I'm nice. Like people, I mean, you get along with me. Like all the guys we get along with everybody. Yeah. So that was helpful, I guess. And I always just understood that your friend group sort of defines who you are. Yeah. So finding really good, solid people and just sticking with them.
Especially when you're young. Yeah. You've mentioned the ensemble thing. Huh? This year I'm trying to do more solo shows.
Yeah.
Not really solo alone, but I feel like we've done many of these group shows. You know how we do our shows, man.
It's too many people.
It's 5 people on the lineup.
Yeah.
So you have the host and 4 people.
I mean, it's super fair because we all need work, and so it's so nice to get stage time, but it's not. I
feel like the next level is you just curate a show with you and maybe an opener and one feature.
Yeah, dude. Right? I wish Nairobi had a comedy club where we just actually do have night after night of just only 3 comedians.
Yeah, because now if you're doing that other group thing, you make say 40,000 bob at the gate. There's the organizer's fee, there's the people at the door, and then you have to divide the money equally. And then you can't pull rank. You can't say, no, me, I'm a veteran, man. You need to pay me more money.
Yeah, you can't do that. I like where we're at right now in Nairobi. It's cool. I wish guys got along a little bit better, but for the most part, I just think that no one's really pulling rank. It's all pretty cool.
Yeah.
But everyone kind of understands that you can't make a living at it. And that day when you can suddenly become successful, it might get weirdly competitive.
Yeah, true. But I feel like that's where many people will go this year, because people are traveling a bit. I think Ty is in South Africa right now.
Is he?
Yeah.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah,
that's cool.
I think he got that talk you got about traveling.
Oh yeah,
someone got to him.
Yeah, it's good. I just think as long as we can all remain supportive, it's going to be so much better than if it's antagonistic.
Yeah,
because that shit sucks. When I've seen it in Dallas, where it's like there was club owners that like said, if you work there, you can't work here.
Yeah, that's like, terrible.
It's like, oh man, you're killing the vibe.
Yeah,
you can't.
And then comedy is supposed to be very good vibes. Why are you bringing in?
It needs that element.
Yeah, man. Because I feel like the audience can read your energy. Now, if your energy is negative, man, what the heck?
I think they do a pretty good job of hiding it from the audience. I mean, we're all kind of lying all the time.
Yeah, true.
But it's just such a bad vibe, dude. Yeah. I think, but competition is helpful. It does make people work hard.
Yeah. It makes you grow.
But it doesn't have to be negative.
And then I feel like our scene is too young for
ego.
Yeah.
Ego is weird for me. I don't understand ego in the arts. There used to be guys who were just like really egotistical about like clowning and juggling and puppetry and magic in America, and I never understood it. It's like you realize what we do, right? Like no one actually takes us seriously. Why do we have an ego about this?
It's not surgery, man.
It's not.
So how did you? So you did that circuit for how many years? You said how many years?
I mean,
the traveling. Like, at what point did you decide to now move out of the States?
It's all I did for 20 years.
So you're also doing stand-up?
Well, yes, as a hobby. So stand-up, I knew I couldn't make money at that. It's so competitive and so hard. But I loved the art form, and so I never took my juggling stuff to the stage or my magic stuff to the stage. I just did stand-up, and I got as good as being an opener at a few clubs. But I couldn't dedicate the time it takes in America.
It wasn't. How was the scene at that time?
Well, it's just like you do 5 minutes at like 12:30 at night. For like 3 people in the audience, and it's like, I just spent 4 hours in this club to do 5 minutes in front of 3 people. I haven't learned anything. I'm exhausted. Meanwhile, I can do a juggling show and make like $2,000. So it was like my focus was not on stand-up comedy, but whenever I could, I was there because I realized this is the hardest and the best.
So why were you doing it? Why were you doing the stand-up?
Because it's the hardest and the best. It's like, it's awesome. And I feel like a good joke writer and a good speaker makes all the other art forms better. Yeah. Like if I'm going to be a juggler, I want to use my mouth. I want to talk and say funny things. If you're doing magic, you need to be like cool with the audience. Most magicians are just like stiff stock lines. They're just lying. My uncle once said to me that and it's like, what are you doing?
Then they don't have the delivery, right?
Right, no delivery. So I knew that I could improve my real gig, and I just loved it. Like it's what's better.
So an open mic would run at 12:30, and there's an open mic running?
Dude, I went back to Dallas like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I performed for 7 people for 5 minutes.
Is that a Saturday show?
Yep. A paid show, a paid
show.
It wasn't even an open mic.
So 7 people bought tickets.
It's terrible. And so that is just it's such a grind.
But Joe Rogan is in Texas now.
Man, I can't even imagine getting tickets to that club. That's all I could think about.
You didn't go?
Dude, every
did you
day.
Think of going?
Every day I thought about that club. I was like, oh, I wish I could go there. But how am I going to get in? How do you get in?
What tickets? They sell out like.
Yeah, and what am I going to do? Knock on the door like, hi, I do stand up in Nairobi, and I just want to know if I could come in.
An exotic white guy.
I'm not exotic there.
Yo, Joe, there's an exotic white guy from Nairobi.
Yeah. Oh man, I would love nothing more than just to sit in that club and be part of it. But
Austin is not a big stand-up comedy town, right?
I always thought it had plenty of comedy clubs.
It did,
yeah,
but not at that level of notoriety, I guess. Maybe because it's Joe Rogan.
Cap City was big, and then it's been so long since I've been there. But on 6th Street, there was another little place called the Little Hole in the Wall place. It was cool too. It was really narrow. It had a funny name. It was a name of a cheese. So I don't know. But anyway, it was a cool club too. And then there was another. Then I don't know. There was a third club, and then there was also a performing arts club on 6th Street that's really cool, where a magician would perform with an improv troupe. So it was a really hot improv sketch comedy troupe, and between each of their bits, they'd have like a Vegas-style comedian come out. He was great. So I always thought of it as an entertainment town.
Yeah, I guess Joe Rogan is just being Joe Rogan.
No. I think he's accurate because I left. And after I left Texas, I do believe the scene sort of died because COVID killed a bunch of things.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not saying he's not correct. I'm just saying that my time there 15 years ago was...
You told me you're a big Joe Rogan fan, man.
I guess. I mean...
When did you start listening to him?
At the beginning. It was the very first podcast.
1940?
He just like turned on, I think it's like he had a website and a message board, and I was a member. Because that was when that Carlos Mencia thing happened.
Yeah.
But that was before there was like... People weren't really streaming. You had to like download videos to watch them. Because the technology, I don't know. And so I downloaded it and people were passing it around. I saw it. I was like, oh, that's cool. And so then he saw that he had a website because he was a real nerd about technology. And I was too. So I signed up for the message board and became part of that, sort of. And then then one day he like flipped on like Windows Media Player or something like that. And it was like a live broadcast. And I think I listened to it, or I listened to it the next day because I'm sure it was posted. I was like, oh, that's really cool. And then so it was like #1.
You think he saw it? Like, do you think, he's just lucky? First use.
I don't know. I just enjoyed listening to comedians talk. And then one day I heard someone say the name of his podcast. I'm like, wait, you've heard of this? And they go, yeah, I've heard of it. I go, no, I didn't know anyone heard of it. And then one day it was like someone said, oh, it's got like 1 million views. I was like, 1 million? Like I thought it was just something that like me and a couple other people just like downloaded on his website. I didn't know it was a thing. And then all of a sudden it was like, oh, he has millions of viewers or listeners. I was like, oh, wow, it's crazy. And then one day it was like, it's the #1. I'm like, oh, I had no idea.
Do you think going to Spotify was like dipped his audience?
I have no idea.
What do you think, theoretically speaking, man? Like me, I used to watch him quite a bit on YouTube, man.
See, I don't watch podcasts ever.
Oh, you don't watch? You're an audio listener, like strictly.
It's in the car or it's when I'm doing stuff.
Oh, because it takes too much time just to sit and watch.
I've never watched one. I've never seen his podcast.
You've never seen it? That is interesting, man. You didn't even see the one with David Goggins? Did you hear the one with David Goggins?
I've heard all of them. I've literally like heard, well, at this point this year, I've probably missed maybe 20 of them over the course of time, but there's like 2,000 of them.
Over the course of time?
Yeah.
You're a Joe Rogan student, man.
And it's funny because like there's a lot of like really like I have half my friends are pretty liberal, and when they hear that they're like, you listen to that? I'm like, yeah, what's the deal? Like, but he's like,
that's now, right?
Yeah.
But I love that, man. But Joe Rogan is it sounds like a very kind man. Like, why would you want to cancel Joe Rogan?
I know.
Like, what the heck?
And I was actually seeing a woman here in Nairobi, and she said, could you recommend some podcasts? And I was like, I don't know. She said, what do you listen to? I was like, Joe Rogan. She goes, oh, I don't listen to him.
Yeah.
I go, why? She goes, I don't agree with his politics. And I go, wait a minute.
Have you?
You just said, I have never listened to him because I don't agree with him. Like, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
How do you not agree with someone you've never listened to?
I think it's just like a disease, man. Like, everyone just says... I was hanging out with this chick and she told me she didn't even want to talk about Elon Musk, right? I'm like, I just, man, you know the way we're having conversation? Yeah. Then I said something about Elon Musk. Like, no, I don't like Elon Musk.
Like, do you know him?
Like, come on, man.
Like, it's weird. It's such a strange thing.
It's like, you just hear stories and then you just cancel the guy, so...
Yeah, I had another person in America who's like a donor to my organization, and she was like, "Wait a minute, you listen to Rogan?" I was like, "I don't. What's the problem here?"
Yeah.
And then she cited some terrible things, and I was like, "Yeah, those were terrible things." But that's not the guy. It's just like if you heard 8,000 hours of me talking, you would not hang out with me.
Exactly.
Because I've said some dumb things.
Yeah.
And then I kind of think about it and I fix it or whatever.
And then also if you listen to someone for years, I'm sure they're not the same every decade.
Well, that's
like people evolve from time to time. You agree with this.
Right
now you disagree with this, next time you don't.
Bingo. Yeah. If I'm gonna defend Joe Rogan, and like why would I? Like, I don't need to defend anyone who isn't me. It doesn't make sense. Like I don't know him. But what I do know is that
You listen to his
sometimes he's wrong, and I go like, "That's stupid," and then I listen to the next one, and that's okay. It's okay for people to be wrong, isn't it?
Yeah, true, man. Now the guys don't want to be anyone to be wrong, man. You have to be right 24 hours a day.
It's like I'm wrong all the time. Like I can definitely tell when he's saying total bullshit that he has no idea what he's talking about, but I'm not going to judge him for it. He's like, oh, he just doesn't know about that.
Yeah, true, man. So how did you transition into coming to Kenya, man? Did you come to Kenya direct, or you passed through somewhere else?
No, it was direct.
What drew you to Kenya? Like,
I wasn't drawn. I really hate the idea of a white guy showing up and saying like, "Hey, I got some answers." So that was because I run a charity, so I do charitable good things.
But were you doing the charity in America?
No, I invented it, but without a real knowledge of where I was going to go. Basically, I just did this sort of the mental math of like, what am I best at, and what do I like doing? And teaching puppetry was that. Why?
Like, what transitioned you from a performing, you're making the money, to now you want to do charity?
It was because I was replaceable. Okay. Because there's plenty of colleagues that could do what I did.
Okay.
So money wasn't really the thing. The thing is like enjoying life and like feeling proud of myself, or doing something with my skills that transcends money.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know. I know it sounds weird, but like
no, it doesn't.
And so the idea was just like my mentor had died. Like I had worked with a guy who was using puppets to teach germ theory in Cambodia, and I was like, this is the coolest use of an art form. Like because I love the art form. Like even though stand up is my baby. Yeah, it's the thing that I love. Yeah. But puppetry like fascinates me in a different way. Like I love watching it and doing it and all this. And so the idea that my art form had a unique place in teaching health, and I could get into the theory about that, but I won't, was really special to me. And so I really wanted to do it that way. Okay. But then my mentor died. I was like, oh crap. Because I thought I was going to work for him. I thought I'd be in Southeast Asia and I would do this waterborne illness stuff. And so I just said, well, I can just follow in his footsteps. He was kind of a self-made man in a lot of ways. Yeah. And so I created a charity and I created the idea. And then I just kind of waited. It just said, something will happen. And then a Kenyan family actually lived in my house for a while I was renting it out. And they said, hey, you should come to Kenya.
Oh, okay.
So I came with them.
All right. And then now, so when you came with the intention of starting up the charity?
So I came with intention to research, just at least to learn more, because what I had decided was that I would use puppets to do HIV and AIDS prevention education, or like stigma for children born with HIV. I knew that's what I wanted to do because it seemed tough. It seemed like if I'm going to use my art form for something good, it should be real hard. It should be the best application. It's stuff that people don't really want to talk about. Let's use that, because that's what puppets are good at doing, is saying uncomfortable truths and that sort of thing. And so that was the topic. And so I came here to research. So I just met like therapists and social workers and doctors and nurses and pastors and parents of kids with HIV. Just interviewed people to find out what do you feel needs to be said that maybe not being said, that maybe my art form could sort of break that wall. And so I came to research. And then when I went back, I went, okay, I think I have a pretty good idea. And I started fundraising.
Was it hard to get the money?
Yeah.
How did you get the first batch? Like
the first big batch.
How many doors had you knocked before you got the first batch?
It was hard. It was a couple of years, but I got a really big grant. It's pretty rare. A small charity, I got $137,000 to launch. Well, it was my first grant.
Damn.
But it was all from just like doing hundreds of presentations. Just like, someone please believe in me.
Yeah.
And then it worked out through Rotary clubs. We have Rotaractors here in Nairobi, and Rotary clubs. It was a partnership through Rotary that got me that grant, and actually got me a legitimate foot here after my research was done.
So you picked up your bag and dashed back.
Did it. And so we finished the project, and my funders were like, it feels like you could keep this going, even though the project's over. And I was like, yeah, I think I can. They said, if we supported you and gave you a stipend, would you continue it? And I was like, yeah. So I've been mostly living off of like a stipend, not like an income, but just like enough to pay my rent.
You still walk with the same guys? Oh, that's nice. You've kept them, man. Yeah. At that time, you had short hair.
A lot of things have changed. Kenya's been hard, dude.
Oh, it has. You don't enjoy evermore in Kitisuru.
So many bad things. Kitty Zero. I think I've been there once. Even actually, it wasn't until comedy till I've ever really been to Westlands.
All right, comedy. Like you met a couple of guys.
Yeah, it's cool. That's what I love about comedy is that like we all get to hang out in places we would never go.
Yeah, true.
Like some of these guys, like we would never be in these restaurants. There's no way.
What year was this when you came to Kenya? Now
I came in. My first visit was 2012. I was here for 6 months. That was my research. Yeah. I came back for a month in 2014, and then I came back to live in 2015.
Oh, okay. So when is that the time you told me you met Terrence?
Yeah, I met Terrence right away. Because the first order of business for me was to meet comedians, and so I went to the National Theater, and then I got invited to some comedy show. And
by Terrence, or by
it
just
wasn't
a random
by Terrence.
comedian?
It was just some crappy low-level guy who's not very funny. But that was okay because I got to meet everybody else.
He invited you to where? Kenya?
We did
was it the Hilton thing?
It was the Hilton thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a show called Kenya Corner.
Yeah.
At Hilton.
There was that, and then Fred started Crazy Comedy Mondays.
Fred Omondi.
Yeah.
You performed at Crazy Mondays?
Several times.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have a knack of sniffing out comedians, huh?
They just used me because I was white. They didn't like me. Terrence and I did not get along. We didn't like each other.
Oh, you did?
No.
Why do you think so?
He was a jerk. Yeah.
What do you mean, man?
Yeah, ask him what he was like in 2012. He wasn't nice, and his only
he was young. He was a kid.
And all he did is just use me to. In fact, I had audience members come to me and say, "I don't like the way this guy talks about you."
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
In Kiswahili?
Yeah. Yeah. He was always asking me to dance and stuff, and it wasn't until I just like stopped. I was like, "Dude, I'm not gonna try to dance. I'm not gonna do that." And that's when he went, "Okay, Darren has some balls."
All right.
But I think we both figured out that we were honest. Like he figured out. Like even recently, I was like, "Dude, why do you put me in these videos?" I'm like, well, I'm not good. And he's like, "You're the only white guy I trust." I'm like, all right. Well, that I am. I am trustworthy at the very least.
I guess you grew on each other, man. Yeah. Like you learned each other's character.
We just texted yesterday. It's like, "Hey, man, I haven't seen you in a while." It's like, "I know. Let's go out for coffee." You know, we I think we love each other.
Oh, you do, huh?
Yeah. But just like we're different. Dude, we don't have good conversations or anything. Like, we're very different.
What do you talk about? I mean, just hang.
Almost nothing.
You know those friends you just hang with, like, then you're like, all right, bye.
I think the issue is that he always invites me into his environment, and I don't.
You've never had him over in Rongai? Why? Why aren't you returning the favor?
He's busy.
Come on, man.
But I wish he would hang out with me. I wish anyone would hang out with me because I do crazy weird stuff.
Like what? Hiking in the woods.
I'm not going to tell these guys.
It's we'll talk about it off camera.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Was it lonely, like just being here doing the charity stuff? Were you using the comedy now to keep your social life afloat?
I wasn't lonely per se because I've always been pretty good about surrounding myself with people, and I had housemates for a while too. That was cool. I'd never had that in America, but here I've had that, and that's always been nice. But then also it's fleshed out my life. Now I have something to do in the evenings. I have a social group. There's interesting interactions. Like now I feel like I'm fully part of Nairobi. Whereas before I had my own little niche thing going on.
All right. Wait, have you ever been trying to be recruited into the expatriate scene?
There's some expats who realize that I'm kind of the cool artist. Because I think, I don't know. I don't understand the upper class, but the upper class people, they're sort of heavy on usefulness, and so a lot of them are already useful in business and philosophy and all these other things. But an artist, like a guy who gets on the ground and does stuff, I'm unique.
You're a unicorn.
But I don't really hang out with them. It's just I don't know.
Sometimes it's a bit boring, man.
I just don't hang out with white people. They're the ones that are here. Kind of weird.
Oh, I think so.
Yep.
Why?
I don't know. It could just be because I have a blue collar background and they don't like these guys can't change a tire or change their oil.
But maybe they can change it at home. You know?
A lot of these guys, they're just they don't.
Because you see now you can just call someone to change it for you, huh?
Right?
Yeah, with your money. Hey, could you come and change my tire, please?
Yeah. But it's kind of a weird. It's just a different vibe, and I think I'm kind of immature, like socially, because I've always been a loner, like doing. I've been alone a lot.
Is that why you live in Rongai, man?
No,
how did you get to live there?
Dude, this is the best thing. I think this is why I've been here so long, because I don't live in Rongai proper. I live right next to the Maasai Lodge at Kitengela Glass, which is like one of the most amazing places in the world.
It's also one of the most farthest places in the world.
It is very far, but it's extremely stimulating. And my front door is the national park, and my back door is the little forest, and then all around me are like glass sculptures and artists and stuff. And there's that crazy bridge that people walk across over into the park.
I almost dropped my camera on that bridge. I actually dropped it.
Oh, jeez.
So it fell on the bridge itself, and then it was just about to fall in, and then some...
So I've crossed that bridge at 1 o'clock in the morning alone. I've crossed the bridge on crutches with a broken ankle. And that's high adventure for most human beings, let alone for an American who never goes outside of their town.
How did you get to live there, though?
So it turns out that my project partner in Rotary, the past president of the Rotary Club, he lived there, and that was his place. It was his wife's place. His wife Nani Crows. His name was Eric Cristal. He was the project partner, and he had experience in using puppets for all this. He'd been doing it for as long as I had. I just didn't know. So when we met up, it was a perfect match. He had all this experience, and he was almost in his 90s when we met up. And he was like, "Hey, you can live with us if you want, because they have all these guest cottages."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Wait, what?" And he's like, "Yeah, you can live on the property." And I was like, "No way! Are you serious? This is where vacationers from around the world will like hire this cottage to stay in an exotic place, and you're saying I can just like throw my pillow there and just live there?"
Was he charging you rent, or it was rent free?
Yeah, no, I paid, but it's good, it was Rungai rates.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
It wasn't Kilimani rates.
It wasn't Kilimani rates. And so not only do I have a cool view, a cool funky house, like I never ever wanted to live in one of these. I hate this. Like because I grew up in the forest as well, in a little wooden house. So for me, like I want to live in something funky and weird.
So that place was.
Have you been to my house?
No, but I've been to Kitengela Glass.
Okay, so I live in a Manyata.
But I've seen those houses. I recognize the way it looks when you post a photograph.
Yeah.
I'm like, I've seen those. You have like hierarchies wrapping around your front door.
Yeah. And Sykes monkeys and about 50 baboons. And then the bush babies at night.
There's a python ones, right?
There's definitely pythons. It's all there. And
that sounds scary.
It's perfect. Human beings in this neighborhood are far more scary than any of the things I just named. Because all the animals are motivated by food. So just don't be food, and you're good. You're good.
The python, how did it get into your... Was it in your house?
No, it was on the outside.
It was outside your house?
Yeah, we just chased it away with a broom.
You chased it with a broom? Yeah. So did it leave?
Yeah.
Where did it go?
It doesn't like... No wild animals like people.
So where did the python go?
Away. I don't care. Like for me, it's just
Jackie, which direction?
That's the thing is, I don't think animals are like scary. I think people are scary.
Yeah, people are crazy.
Dude, 2 of my friends got robbed in Nairobi last week, and they're terrified. They're so scared. They called me just crying, just like, this is awful. And I'm like, I don't have that. I have lions, but like they're over there.
And there's no one who's ever gotten mauled around those sides.
One person got mauled
a long time ago.
Three years ago.
What happened?
Died.
He was mauled by a lion. Was he a drunk?
Yep.
A friend of mine who lives around there was telling me, like at night, like it's very unwise to be staggering back to the house.
Yeah, that makes sense. So you just follow some few basic rules and you're okay. But Nairobi, it's all bets are off. You could be anywhere. So yeah.
There was once I was mugged in the CBD, man.
Were you?
Yeah.
What time was it? What time was it?
It was like I think 10:30. I've realized this guy is do you go to the CBD much?
I used to go twice daily. Yeah.
Twice daily.
Because I used to ride matatu, so I always went to railways.
Oh yes, so you know where the Rongai matatus are, right?
Hell yeah.
So there's a street, there's a Naivas.
Yeah.
So at that Naivas, there's this kid who had a...
It wasn't always Naivas, it was something else.
Yes, it was Nakumat.
Yeah.
It used to be Nakumat. So this young guy, they wear these coats, they look like they're busy doing something, but they're thugs. So he grabbed me and grabbed my spectacles. They're like, ah! So I looked at him. My first instinct was, to run away.
Yeah.
Then I went back. I'm like, yo, man, I can't see with all those things. I'm like, just give me back my specs. He gave them back to me. Weirdly enough.
That's your story?
So he told me he's going to give me... Come on. He told me, do you have 20 bob?
You didn't get robbed in the CBD. You got punked.
No, that's just one story.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
No, the same area, someone took my phone. So I tried the same strategy of, look,
I like man.
Just give
I can't
me
see without my phone.
But that one didn't work. In fact, you're telling me, let's go down the street. I tell you something. I'm like, dude.
Don't do that.
Come on, man.
Don't do that. I did that once in Cuba with cigars. I was buying cigars off the black market, and I dashed into I did not dash. Someone else who I was with, a naive American, dashed into the alley to buy cigars from guys who were jacking them from the factories and selling them in duffel bags in like an abandoned apartment building. And I only followed because I was watching out for that guy's ass. Because I was like, what are you doing? Are you? Well, they have IDs. Like, that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, to a thug. Jackie, I have an ID.
Yeah. Okay. So, do you remember there was a Joe Rogan podcast where they had the lead singer of Black Flag? His name always escapes me, but he's an adventure traveler, and for some reason I can never remember his name. It's weird. It's a weird consistency. But he travels at high adventure, and he's like a bodybuilder and a poet.
Okay.
And this punk band in the 80s, he was like the lead singer, and he's Henry Rollins.
Okay.
Big, tough guy.
Yeah.
And Rogan was like, hey, man, so like, how do you travel all these crazy places around the world. Like, how do you stay safe? And he's like, well, I'm still logical about it. Like, it's very important for me to travel and to see new things, but I am careful. He was like, what do you mean? He was, well, for instance, like, if I go to Nairobi, Kenya, I don't go out after dark. And I'm like, did he just... This badass guy that I've looked up to forever, who's a bodybuilder, huge punk rocker, like aggressive, grab life by the balls, doesn't go out after dark in Nairobi. I do that every single day. Man. And it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, despite your little looks compared to that guy.
I just think there's something
special. Yeah, you just have
special.
to be wise. Even this Shaolin Masters, I follow quite a few of them nowadays.
What?
Like
the Wu-Tang Clan? Or
no.
What? Like, what are you talking about?
There's always a Shaolin guy in every city, yeah? So,
really?
Yeah. There's one here, there's one.
No, I don't know what you're talking about. What are you talking about?
You know this Shaolin Masters?
No.
You don't know Shaolin Masters?
I've seen them on television.
You know these Kung Fu guys? They're ones who are actual Shaolin Masters.
Okay.
So there's one who was saying that the greatest self-defense is to flee.
Yes, for
like
sure.
This guy can break a brick with his fist.
Yeah,
you know, he can just do that, and then.
But that's like Krav Maga. That's even like the Israeli army type thing, where it's just like those guys, the Krav Maga guys. Yeah, just run away.
All right.
Yeah, ground and pound and get the hell out if you have to.
Yeah.
But what do you mean you follow them? Like you physically like see them and you just chase them?
No,
around?
I follow them online. That's what following is now.
Oh, I thought you meant that they're in Nairobi.
No. I just follow them on Instagram.
And so, okay, and so you just take. I don't know. Something about the way you said that. I'm like, there's Shaolin Masters in Nairobi? We can follow them? That sounds like good advice.
So what happened with the cigars?
We got them, and I smuggled them inside of puppets and took them back to the USA.
Oh, you smuggled them?
And then I sold them to comedians and made like a bunch of money.
Why the heck did you do that, man?
Money.
You needed the money?
I always need money.
Or you just thought of...
Dude, do you need money?
I do, but I'm not thought of smuggling anything.
Yeah.
Like, what are the consequences if you're caught?
I guess it would, you know how it is. It just depends on what they feel like doing.
Yeah, but cigars...
Fines would be the minimum.
I don't think cigars is like big. Yeah. I'm sure someone sued them. Were there scanners those days?
It was weird because it was illegal for Americans to go to Cuba at that time.
Oh, it was.
So we got a special permit, and then they set up like a collapsible table in the basement of the Miami airport, and they checked us all in and didn't stamp our passports, and then tore down the table and just said, "Go over there."
Who? The Cuban immigration?
I don't know, but I know I went and I know I came back.
How was it, man?
It was cool.
How long were you there for?
Maybe a week. Yeah, in Havana.
What year was this?
2000.
So
2001.
So Hugo Chavez, not Cuba.
Yeah. What's his name was there?
The other guy had died. The long speech guy.
Yeah.
What's his name, man? I've forgotten. I have a lot of that lately, man. I keep forgetting
we need
stuff.
We need to drink more water.
Huh?
We got to hydrate our brains.
Like, I'm doing a podcast. I'm supposed to be a source of.
Yeah, I don't know. My recall is pretty poor. I have a really bad memory, but that's okay. Anyway, it was beautiful, and I had my first mojito. My first mojito was in Havana, Cuba.
Is it different from the mojitos at
yes.
Bistro Bar and Restaurant?
Yes.
Our mojitos are not
garbage.
Like
It's garbage. Yeah.
It's garbage for 500 bob.
And that's the thing that's so cool about being a performer is that like I went there to teach puppetry. My translator had just been an interpreter for Fidel Castro.
Oh yeah. We got it at last.
Boom.
Bang.
Why did you do that? That's so like 80s radio. Fidel Castro and the Pope, and then her next gig was with me.
Oh, okay.
That's so cool.
Oh man, that's
so being a performer. Like I got to have my first Singapore sling in Raffles Hotel in Singapore. I had my first key lime pie in Key West, Florida. I had my first buffalo wings in Buffalo, New York. You know, and so that's I'm a blue collar kid with just like a little bit of experience, but like being a comedy man.
No, you don't know where you'll end up. Like you just end up in rooms.
And we're always the help. I mean, we're not important.
Yeah, no one takes us really seriously.
No, we're like they need a janitor and they need an electrician and they need a comedian for Friday night, and we're in the same strata.
It took me a while to accept like the name like you're a comedian. I always used to feel weird about it. I just feel like I've let my dad down.
I only don't like it if I'm not making money at it. If I'm just like open micing, like he's a comedian, I'm like I feel guilty because I feel like it's such a good title that I don't want someone to call me that unless I'm making money.
My dad was a professor in campus.
Yeah.
So he was all this academics and stuff. Yeah. So when someone says this young man is a comedian, I'm like, damn.
But did your dad have a favorite comedian?
He never mentioned it. You know, comedy was not his world. Like,
but George Carlin, like his words and philosophy.
He's never. I wish if he was here now, I would have shown it to him.
Your dad passed?
Yeah, he passed. Yeah. He passed in 2018.
Okay, yeah, mine was last year.
Yeah, sorry about that, man. So I feel like I used to, after a while when I accepted it, I was like, I think I've gotten this thing from you because you're also, you know, he's an artist. He used to be the patron of the drama club.
Your dad was?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. In Kenyatta University, he was always doing these drama things. So I was trying to show him that, you know, I've gotten this thing from you. Yeah. And also we are sort of in the same area, but it's only that you're in academics and me, I'm just doing it on stage. But
yeah. And what did he think?
I was still convincing him while.
Sorry. I'm sure he's proud of you, dude.
And then I got a job on radio after he passed, so I'm sure he would have been very happy if he had me on the job.
So let me tell you something about that. My dad actually, he saw me become successful, like, and when I bought the house, and he came into the house one day, and he goes, you know, I'm really proud of you. And you know what I thought? Why? Because I have a house? Like, you should always be proud of me. Yeah. Like, this is just a status thing that has nothing to do with me and nothing to do with our relationship. So I kind of resented the fact that he came to the conclusion to finally tell me because I had an asset. Yeah. I'm still Darren. I'm still your son. I'm still driven, whether or not I have this asset. Yeah. And so, I don't know, maybe if your dad had come around and said, like, I'm proud of you, you'd be like, well, what arbitrary accomplishment are you proud of me for? I
was actually really doing things to try and get him to be proud of me.
It's a tough thing.
The house I live in Kitengela, I built it. I built it off comedy money. You know, I just used to script.
Really?
Yeah. I used to script money together.
I got a puppet house and you got a comedy
house.
Yeah,
man. So I do, okay, not purely. I used to get gigs also, you know, these corporate gigs.
Yeah.
So I built, and then I put up the roof. I put up the shell of the windows. Then is when I brought him there, just to see, I just wanted him to say, this guy can even build a house. That's good. So let's get behind him.
And did he say anything?
No, he was. I think he was more surprised than, he was just like, what? How did this guy do this? I feel like he thought maybe there's something else I did.
Oh, no. You're selling drugs on the side.
So there was once he was in hospital. Yeah. So he was lying on the bed, and then at that time I was doing Churchill show. So I was the one hosting the show on that night. But you see, we had to leave hospital hours. Yeah. So he's like, no, put the TV. I want to see you on that Churchill show thing. So I put the TV and I left. But the next day he didn't talk about it. I think I bombed that show, man. It was rough.
It's just like trying to, it's a weird thing to try to make your dad happy, but I feel like it worked out with me and my dad. I had a weird one last night. I actually had a dream about him last night, and I woke up crying.
Oh, for real?
I think my subconscious is still like just like dealing with the death.
Yeah.
I'm fine during the day. Me and Dad had nothing left undone, nothing unsaid. It was clear that he loved me and I loved him, and everything was fine. And he died quickly, so it's like I'm fine. But the last few weeks, like in the middle of the night, like my subconscious is like just rushing with grief.
Interesting. Hold that thought, man. Hold that moment.
Did I just get too serious?